It is time for the Italian Grand Prix here for ISRL Season 3, Tier 2, here at Monza. I am your host, Follow Monkeys, joined by, once again, of course, by ISRL Estunik. Estunik, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited for what we have in store today in this Tier 2 race, round 16 out of 18 here around Monza as we're just loading into the short qualifying session. And it's looking pretty dry for the most part from what I can see here as we've loaded up into the pit lane. We've got a full 20 driver grid. So going into this race, what are some things that we can look out for as we wait for the first few drivers to get out on the track?
Well, it's going to be about, obviously, we come back to the same thing every week here. Strategy. Who can optimize maybe a one-stop round here, soft to medium if you're qualifying on those softs, or you can go start at the back if you qualify out of the top 10, go into medium to soft, and then you got to factor in safety cars and whatnot. A hard tire around here could go 20-plus laps, so someone's probably going to risk it today. We've seen it oftentimes in the early parts of the season, so we just got word that's a dry race too.
Dry quality, dry race. Ooh, so not too much in terms of weather as we're watching Mats come out on his out lap, the first driver, so going to be leading the way here. But of course, sorry, I'm just trying to get everything set up here with the stream. So, I'm excited to see what Mats can do here, putting on the soft tires to start off the out lap. Let's get the telemetry on. But yeah, as I was mentioning, it's a full 20 driver grid. We've got Michael Fures and Synchro. Synchro out in the outlap, Vex the Vexer, Mats that we're watching going out on track. Cohen here with Euron Vasseur, Nathan in the Nathan here, and AJ, Real Chad. And I think this is Chad's first ISRL race. Am I correct with that?
I believe you are correct. This is his debut race.
His debut race, so I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do in that Red Bull car, taking over for Irish Potato, who's not here this week, it seems. Bumblebee, of course, back in that Renault car with Krishna and Callis teaming up with the Racing Points. Chris and Vito out on an out lap, surprising enough, normally where he starts. Real DC here, and I think that's a new name as well. Am I correct with that? With the real DC?
I believe you are. I'm not sure if he was here last week. I don't believe I saw him, but I could be mistaken as we've had a little shift here in the drivers coming in. So yeah, no, I'm not seeing him on the point standing, so I don't believe he is classified yet. So this could be his debut as well.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do. He's out on an out lap, so we can keep an eye on him once he gets on that flying lap. Lorenzo, of course, here as well. Laparkta back again. Jordan sitting in the pits, and End of the World sitting in the pits as well, with Cruz rounding out the grid back in that Mercedes car out on an out lap as well. But we've got some drivers starting their flying lap as we've watched Mats go around. Coming to the end of Sector 2, approaching the Scari complex here. Sets a purple Sector 2, of course, being the first driver leading the way. But as he's coming through, driving up to Parabolica, up into 8th gear, flying down at 200 miles an hour, we'll see what kind of time he can put in. Of course, Parabolica can really make or break a lap here if you take the wrong line. Goes a little bit wide. Thankfully, doesn't invalidate there. Keeps a little bit on the track. Comes across the line, and that's nearly a 119 flat to start things off. In this short qualifying session, set on the soft tires, but AJ crosses the line shortly after and sets a 119.1, and Callis on the medium tires sets a 120.3. So we're seeing some times falling to the board a few slower times. Krishna with a 119.5 on the soft tires. Nathan crossing the line with a 119.4. So already seeing 4 times in the 119s. So the Tier 2 drivers really showing lots of pace here early on in qualifying. So I think this is a good sign of things to come. As so far, it's still Mats on pole with the 119, nearly a 119 flat.
You see the two Alpha Tauri drivers out there setting their lap times on medium, so you got to think, well, you're on Vasseur, it's at a 119.8, that's respectable on the medium. But all these cars very close together. You see this? So someone who was at the front, like Matt's, luckily got out. Like no one was taking advantage of him. But a lot of these cars are probably trying to get slipstream off these guys. So much like we see in real life F1 with the debacle that we've had here in the past couple of years with the slipstream. But for people to just wait to the last moment to come out of the pits and just gain those extra couple tenths, because that can make or break where you start on this race as well. Change everything.
Oh yeah, of course. And as long as it doesn't lead to any funny business in terms of who leads the way, like we saw here at the real life mods, I believe it was last year with the I guess the hilarious qualifying 3 we saw there. But I'm looking at the times, and there's a significant gap, of course, between the softs and the medium tires, as we're seeing more times fall. And already, your own Visser, who's the quickest in the medium tires, already falling down into 8th place. So potentially starting on those mediums might not be the ideal strategy, and it might not even be viable given the times that are falling so far on the soft tires, unless some of these soft tire drivers can somehow set a quicker time on the medium tires later on.
We see Enda, who's our podium finisher for our Tier 3 race, reserving for Tier 2, hopefully trying to bring that same momentum here.
Yep, I think he just finished a lap, not using any ERS from what I can see, with a 1:19.6, so good enough for 8th, so not a bad qualifying position for him, and it was with those soft tires, so probably going to see him go faster as the session moves on and the track evolves. Here, let's actually take a look to somebody who looks to be on a flying lap. That's Synchro in that Haas car, coming through Parabolica, goes a little bit wide there, doesn't invalidate, but potentially loses a lot of time. Let's actually get the lap data open for this so we can see the sector times, but doesn't have a time on the board with the medium tires here as he's coming around Parabolica. Might get a little bit of help from the McLaren car in front of him, actually going into the pits, but tries to take any form of tow. Comes across the line. That's a 120.7 on those medium tires. Good enough for 13th, so not bad, but potentially looking to improve later on, probably on those soft tires. I just noticed Callus just set a purple first sector. And he's on 3-lap old medium tires, and it looks like he's going for a lap here. So I'm going to keep an eye on him. He's currently sitting in 10th, but if you're going to be trying to qualify with those 4-lap old medium tires and start in the top 10, I feel that would kind of take away the idea of the medium tires, unless he's got a different medium to soft strategy that I'm not thinking of.
But Jordan's on an out lap now, or a hot lap rather. He's got Christian right in front of him, giving him a beautiful tow.
Let's take a quick look at that, actually.
That's Callus gonna go. E10 for Jordan.
Yep, let's see. So Cal is down in 11th, so maybe not improving as much as he was hoping for. Yeah, turns off the ERS and probably going to go into the pits now and put on a fresh set of soft tires. As you mentioned, Krishna, and let's actually ride with him on a lap on an onboard. And what was actually going on there at turn 1?
It's just Chris and company letting drivers go through.
Oh, okay. Okay, I saw a driver kind of sideways and was a little bit worried that something might have happened, but no, thankfully it's just drivers letting each other through. So let's actually give you an onboard to Krishna as he's coming through the Lesmos 1, turning into Lesmos 2 now. Takes a nice line, gonna open the DRS for his flying lap. Currently in 6th, looking to beat that 1:19.5. So he's coming through Sector 2 and actually does go faster, takes off a 10th. But Sector 3 can be a make or break. Takes a nice line through Ascari and actually getting some help from Callus, his teammate, going perfectly as he slingshots him through into Parabolica. Carries a lot of speed and gonna take the quickest line. Oh no, Synchro's crash as Callus crosses the line for P3. So wonderful teamwork by the Racing Point cars, but unfortunately Synchro crashing out. As is that end, let's give the onboard to see what happened. Coming out of the Ascari complex, the car just disappears, so we can't see, but must have clipped that inside curb on the exit. And when you're going, when you're taking, oh, what happened?
AJ Wuhan just ran a 1:18.95.
Oh my goodness. So wow, AJ coming to play here on his second try with that 1:18.9. So breaking into the 1:18s to snag that provisional pole away from Mats, who's currently sitting in the pits, but probably waiting for the right time to potentially go a little bit faster. But that's still a very... Oh my goodness, yeah, lots of cars on track right now, so it's hard to even find a gap to go into. As let's actually ride with Vito now, the championship leader, and I believe he's actually won the drivers confirmed. Yes. So congratulations to Vito on clinching the Tier 2 drivers championship as he invalidates through Ascari. Gonna be remaining with that 119.2, nearly a 119.3 actually, but he's still sitting in 7th and gonna be letting some quicker drivers through. That's Chris. Let's see if Chris is on a lap, and it looks like he is. 7/10 faster, so really improving on his time. But he's going to cross the line, good enough for 14th, as that's a 120.13. And who is that? That's the real Chad. The real Chad coming through, almost showing he's the real deal in qualifying with a 118.789. So flying through, and that was a crazy lap. And even Nathan, I didn't even notice there, setting a 118.8. So we're seeing crazy times falling now. As let's try to find somebody else on a lap. And actually, I think that's... I just missed Cruz. Yeah, I just missed Cruz. Gets a purple third sector, takes a 2nd and a 10th off his time, but that's a 119.3, which puts him into 10th here with 6 minutes to go in qualifying. But already we're seeing lots of crazy times falling into the 118s. So I think this is, if this is any sign to show in terms of pace, I'm excited to see what they can do come the race, if they can set these quicker times in qualifying.
Yeah, the top 10 realistically separated by less than a second, so a lot of these guys looking probably come out at the last minute too to set those times, so that's where you're going to start to see a little bit of funky stuff, like who's going to be the first one to just bite the bullet to go out on the track. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean, of course, first out on track doesn't necessarily mean first across the line to start the lap, depending on what your strategy is. Maybe just get first out for the sake of not missing your time, but waiting for other drivers to go through and get the advantage, and potentially even teammates helping out one another as well, that we can see biting the bullet. But it'll all unfold here with 5 minutes to go. We're probably going to see it soon enough, as we're seeing Laparta coming through Parabolica, looking to improve on that 119.4. It's going to cross the line, and that's a 119.285 for him, so good enough to put him into 9th. Knocks Vito down into 10th, as we're seeing him just coming out of the pits to go out on and start his out lap. And as Mats is now coming through the... well, I don't know why I jumped back to your own facility. That's Mats actually crashing out, coming out of the second Lesmos, as we just saw that there. So that's his qualifying over, and with 4 minutes to go on his flying lap, will not be able to complete that, and will have to settle with his 119 flat for his qualifying time. Extremely disappointing, but still yet puts him in a decent position for the start of the race, just given how quick that first time was.
Look for a lot of these guys within the next minute and a half to just, except for obviously Albiku starting his lap now on the mediums.
Yeah, so let's actually ride with him, get the camera on to somebody riding a lap, looking to start on the medium tires. And looking at the times a lot of these drivers set, seems like he's going to need a lot of pace around the track to make this strategy work.
He really center deep right there into turn 1, so could be a scruffy lap. He's got to make up a huge amount of time here in the last 2 sectors.
Yep, of course, the two biggest time-making spots, but actually sets a quick sector 1. I believe that's a personal best time. Takes a little bit of gravel there. Might affect a little bit there in the few hundredths of a second. A little bit of a wobble out of... Yeah, a little bit of oversteer out of Lesmo's 1. Takes Lesmo's 2 really well, though, so gets a decent slingshot out through this DRS straight. But of course, Ascari can make or break a lap as he's coming through the first sector. Doesn't invalidate through the first corner. Takes a lot of curb, gets a little bit of a wiggle, but nothing too crazy. As he's going to come through this last straight, approaching the Parabolica turn. And this is where you can really make or break a lap, depending on the exit you get and the amount of speed you can carry through this turn. Coming through and going to cross the line. What's it going to be for him? A 120.3, so up into 18th. Potentially not what he was hoping for. But with 2 minutes to go, maybe going to be looking to set another lap with those tires before the end of the session. And see if he can improve on that.
Yep, top 10 now separated by a half a second. So, and who was that? Was that Vito?
Yep, that was Vito. Yep, up into 8th, a 119.1. So potentially not the quickest time he was hoping for. But it seems like he's... Yeah. Let's actually take a look at Real Chad as he's coming through the sector 1. Let's peek at his lap to see if he can improve. Currently sitting on provisional pole.
Beautifully tight through this entire curved rondo. Just hugging that inside line.
Yeah, taking it extremely nicely. Goes faster in that first sector, so we might see a quicker lap here from the Red Bull driver. As he comes through the first Lesmos, approaching the second here, takes it very nicely and opens the DRS to power down the straight to approach the Ascari complex. But as he comes through sector 2, takes 2 100ths off of his time, so still going just that tiny little bit faster.
Just so tidy. This is the lap he's gonna love.
Oh yeah, this is a really crazy lap, but given how close he is in terms of his timing, it looks like he set nearly a very similar lap on his first time. Takes the quickest line to the line, and actually goes much faster, takes 4/10 off, and that's a 118.349 as the new time to beat, as the Real Chad sits on provisional pole with 30 seconds to go in qualifying, and most of the drivers out on track starting their laps. I'm riding with AJ right now as he's on a flying lap, and it looks like he has his teammate behind him. Lapartia, so potentially a little bit of teamwork going on here between with the Williams drivers as AJ approaching the Parabolica complex. Is he going faster? Yes, he is. Takes off 5 100ths. So we'll see if he can improve as he comes through sector 3, coming out of the Ascari complex. Cruz's qualifying is over as he's in a provisional 13th position. Bumblebee in 17th for the time being, it looks like, as their qualifyings are over, as more drivers are crossing the line, or as the qualifying time runs out. But let's see, is AJ going to better his time as he crosses the line? Yes, he does. Comes into provisional second, but actually Lapartia goes a little bit faster up into second, so it's a Williams 2-3 here in qualifying, with still the Real Chad leading the way.
Callis has had enough with the Lesmo. He was off into the gravel trap.
Yep, and Nathan invalidates his lap, so he's going to settle for his 118.8. The Real DC doesn't look like he's on a lap, so I think that's his qualifying over. Callis neither on a lap, not on a lap either.
Vex the Vexter and Lorenzo. I don't know what was happening there. It's like the Mercedes that tried to hit Lorenzo.
Oh, that's
it's because he retired on track.
Oh no, That's
That's
not
why it was his AI and ran into Lorenzo and invalidated his lap.
That's not what you want to see, but something that we, well, potentially would like to see, especially if you're a Giron Visser fan, is that Giron Visser qualifies at, say, a 118.4, not quick enough for pole, but still quick enough for P2, so far it looks like he's going to be getting that front row start with the real Chad still leading the way, and it looks like... given from what I see, I think that is the end of qualifying, as we're just waiting for the real DC to get into the pit lane. And we can move on to the formation lap, and then afterwards the race. So the real Chad qualifying in first, starting on pole position with a 118.3, and that was a really nice lap from him there. Really made up a lot of time in the third sector around Parabolica. But after
the car look absolutely planted.
Oh yeah, so let's take it through the order. With as I mentioned, the real Chad starting on pole with the 118.3. Your own Visser coming close second, only 8/100ths off with his 118.4, starting in P2. Afterwards, it's a Williams 3-4 with Laparta and AJ Wuhan, respectively. Nathan bringing that McLaren up into fifth. With the real DC starting in 6th, Callis in 7th, Mats in 8th, Cohen in 9th, and Vito rounds out the top 10. So once again, Vito starting from the middle of the pack, as we're so used to seeing. Krishna in 11th, with End of the World, in 12th. Cruz in 13th with Vex the Vexer in 14th. So not a strong qualifying from the Mercedes. As my time runs out here, I went down and caught that on the stream, but I didn't have enough time to go through the back of the order, so apologies for that. But we can check that out in that formation lap. But as we're loading into the race and going to have that little bit of a pause, Stunek, after seeing that qualifying session, what do you think we can expect to see as we're getting ready for the race?
Well, you got to think that everybody below the top 10 might start on the medium, or I don't see anybody honestly starting on the hards unless they just absolutely just chucking it at guaranteeing a late safety car. But I honestly, everybody obviously in the top 10 is going to do the soft. But you can one stop here. You just got to manage the tires well and just hope to avoid the incidents, because we see time penalties and incidents because sometimes you'll just get caught with a tire out in the worst possible spot here, and it's just next thing you know, race over. So focus is key here, because the speeds will get left behind quickly.
Yeah, but of course, as we're loading into the session here, as it was your own Visser, who was the first to ready up to start the session. There is also equally the possibility of that very early safety car, especially when everyone's bunched together. So it might be a little bit more beneficial to start on the soft tires to gain that advantage and potentially benefit from that earlier safety car with the quicker pit stops. But let's actually take a look at
That's weird.
What happened there?
Oh no, it's just 3. You got Enda, Cruz, and Synchro, the only drivers to opt for the medium compound tire. So bit interesting. Obviously, they're going to be able to, if there's an early safety car, these guys in the front who are starting on those softer tires weren't qualifying will pit, and these guys just migrate to the front, and next thing you know, they just get clean air to get some work put in. So it's optimal in my opinion, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think a lot of the other drivers on those soft tires, kind of banking on the strategy I was talking about, oh my goodness, in the sense of starting on the softs, looking to gain that advantage early on, and hope for that early safety car to get that quicker pit stop when everyone is still bunched up together. Of course, the top 10 forced to start on the soft tires, but of course, we've got Krishna, Vexer, Jordan, then Michael Fierez, Chris, Bumblebee, and Lorenzo all on the soft tires as well to try to gain that advantage. With End of the World, Cruz, and Synchro, as you mentioned, the only 3 drivers to start on the medium tires. So it's going to be curious to see what those 3 can do in terms of strategy compared to the rest of the grid, who is probably going to be on the similar 1-stop or potentially even the 2-stop, doing a soft, medium, and soft, depending on how they feel about the tire wear.
I mean, if you got nothing to lose, you know, and you're in the mid-pack and safety car comes out, you put on the mediums and you run long enough, another safety car comes out, you could stop softs, and it would be an ideal strategy due to the fact that you're not losing time because everybody's still bunched up, so.
Yep, as the drivers are going to be lining up now on the grid for the start of the race. We're watching Real Chad coming, taking up his P1 pole position here. Parks up the car and waits for the rest of the grid so we can start. And as we're waiting for all the drivers to line up with the 5 red lights, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I'm excited for the start of the race. I hope you are too. And as everyone's lining up, we're just going to be waiting for the cue to go. And here we are, waiting for those 5 red lights. If I can get them. Here we go. 3, 4, 5 now for 5 red lights. And they're off. And we're kicking things off here as they're mowing down into turn 1. We still have the Real Chad leading the way. AJ not getting a start we're hoping for. And let's take a look into turn 1. Hopefully there's no funny business going through as let's come down the order. Going 3 wide here between Krishna, Mats, and Vito. Looks like, oh, who is that? A lot of drivers going wide out of turn 2. So lots of positions falling. That's Cohen, it looks like. Vito falling down the order. I think that was Jordan falling down the order as well. But it's still, now it's Krishna overtaking Laparta and Mats, getting a double overtake done, going up into 6th. We've got a yellow flag here at the end of Sector 1. That's Lorenzo falling down the order. And what happened here, Lorenzo caught up into an incident down into 20th. So he's going to have a lot of a catch-up race to do. Bumblebee going extremely down the inside out of the second Lesmos in... down in 15th, watching out for Chris, who's right behind. Is he going to try something into Ascari? No, he's not. So Bumblebee keeping that 15th, but for how long? It looks like with the pace we have. But back up the grid, Michael Fear is putting a lot of pressure on Mats here as they're coming through Parabolica. So we'll see if we'll see if Elbiku can get that overtake done, as we've got a nice little 3-car battle here. But of course, with the lead, as we see Nathan passing Jordan elsewhere on track. Timing's getting a little bit messed here as I'm just trying to catch the lead. Oh my goodness, where is the... I just want to catch the leaders here. It's still the Real Chad leading the way. Your own Visser right behind. And it looks like the Real Chad gaining a bit of a gap now to your own Visser, where the gap was only 0.2 for the longest time, now up to 0.6. As it looks like everything's sorting itself out. As Mats gets a nice exit, Laparta not so much, and now Elbiku, nice little move down the inside of Laparta, going up into 8th, and Laparta down into 9th, but putting the pressure still on Elbiku as coming through the second Lesmos, but it looks like Laparta maybe running a bit more downforce as Michael Fear is getting a bit of an advantage here down the straight. And look at that, that's Cruz trying to make a move down the inside into Parabolica. Smartly backs out of that, but now we're going to see him with so much more traction out of Ascari, but takes a penalty doing it, but still overtakes Laparta to go up into 9th on those medium tires, so working his way back up the order as we see Real Chad setting a fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. Still in the lead of the Italian Grand Prix.
Callis about to go around the outside of Cruz into turn 1.
Yep, riding that as they're going side by side here. Callis gets a little bit better exit, gets kicked wide a little bit, and now that's Laparta getting involved here as we have a nice little 3-car battle coming out of turn 2 and through Curva Grande. But Laparta, of course, not having the traction he wants. As we see Callis kick it out in the outside, turns into the inside, and gets a nice little move to pass Cruz. And here we see Laparta looking to make a lunge down to the Lesmos, but we know that doesn't end too well most of the time. So smartly backs out and will remain patient until a little bit later in the lap.
Front 2 have just absolutely taken off so far these first 3 laps.
Yep, they definitely have with the Real Chad and your own Visser. Oh, who was that? That went way wide. Was that? That's Nathan, and that's Nathan into the wall. in the Ascari complex, so not what he was hoping for, as he's falling down the order, gonna have to take a very early pit stop here. And interestingly enough, no safety car brought up for that incident, so we continue racing as Matt overtakes Vex the Vexer to go up into 6th. But Vex the Vexer still putting the pressure on, not looking to make another attacking move down into turn 1, but now has to watch out for Elbiku, putting the pressure on that Mercedes driver as they're coming through Curva Grande, and we'll see if Elbiku can get the overtake done and move up into 7th. Coming through a
close racing, it's really hard to focus on just one. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track here and focus, as we're seeing Vito now was getting very close to Jordan, but the gaps have grown just a little bit. Elbiku actually took a penalty somewhere along the way, so not what he was hoping for some potential corner cut warnings. But still, we're only here on lap 4 and already a whole bunch of action. Oh, as Elbiku gets a little bit of a moment riding the curb on the exit of the Ascari complex. So loses out in a little bit of time and potentially that overtake opportunity going into Parabolica. But we'll see if he can make it up here on the exit, as they're coming down through the start-finish straight to barrel into turn 1.
Has no ERS left. He's a sitting duck.
Yep, and look at how much Elbiku is gaining as he's going through on the outside and gets that overtake relatively easily around the outside. With Callus now looking to get involved now and get his shot at overtaking Vex the Vexer, so kind of falling down the order. But we'll see if he can. He's fighting back, so not going without a fight. Has to back out through turn 3. Ooh, gets a little bit of wheel spin, and that actually allows Callus to go down the outside. The room is left, but Callus gets the overtake relatively easily with the better traction. So Vex the Vexer, unfortunately having a costly mistake that brings him down into 9th. But I guess some good news for him is that he's got his teammate behind him, who's also on the medium tires, so potentially more pace for Vex the Vexer. To keep that 9th position. As that's Elbiku out in the Ascari complex.
Oh.
And here, let's actually ride with, as we see him there on Synchro.
Safety car.
And that actually does bring out the safety car. So I think Elbiku might have clipped that inside curb a little bit too much, or maybe rode the curb on the outside.
The lap previous, he did the same thing. Yeah, just trying to push as hard as he could.
Yep, and with that said, we're seeing lots of drivers going into the pits. The real Chad staying out. Your own Vasseur looking to get that undercut done, putting on the hard tires, so looking to go to the end of the race. And did you see something that I missed?
I just looked over at the stream, and it looked like there was a Ferrari just going in the pits at like a rate of knots. That was absurd. Nice. Hey, everything's fine. Did you notice? I don't know. I just want to interrupt, but did you notice the details? You could just go right to how many penalties they have.
Yep. Yeah.
It's an added little. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've got that there. We can now see who's got penalties. We can see the amount of seconds everybody has. It's I love that detail. I got to mess around with that a little bit earlier in the week. As we see, we got Krishna and Cruz with 3-second penalties. Jordan with a 3-second. Laparta and Vito as well with a 3-second, and Lorenzo with a 3-second penalty. Everybody else driving a clean race so far, but it's only lap 6 out of 27, so lots of racing to go. But for the next 2-3 laps, it appears we will be under the safety car, as we've got the real Chad coming around Parabolica. We'll see if now he's going to choose to go into the pit lane and get off those soft tires. Looks like he is going 1 lap later than everybody else.
AJ Wuhan stays out.
And yeah, that's AJ staying out on the soft tires.
It was Joran Vasseur was in the battle for first with him. He'd already pit previously, so we'll see.
Yeah, so Joran Vasseur down in 10th after pitting for the hard tires. Let's see, the real Chad coming out of the pits, putting on the medium tires, so looking to potentially take those 20 laps. Coming out in 8th And is he going to be ahead or behind as they're coming to the
Oh,
line?
he
It's
just
so
gets. Oh,
close.
why are they racing? What was this?
And
That
and
that
that's
you've
your
got
own
to say that
Visser
that
getting
was
a.
a well-deserved penalty there. There was no. Chad clearly had him at the line there,
Oh
and
yeah.
just very aggressive. There was no need for that.
No, and I'm not too sure why they chose to race under the safety car, no less.
Different
But
tires too. He went to hards. Real Chad's on the medium, so
yeah, that's not what you want to. That's definitely not what you want to see. But it's AJ leading the way under safety car, choosing to stay out with the real DC and Krishna as well, still staying out on those soft tires for at least one more lap. But now that they've stayed out, it looks like a lot of the grid has bunched together, so they might lose out in a lot of positions if they do stay out for that extra lap.
so the top 7, crucially, are the only ones to not pit. That puts Real Chad's the only one here on the fresh tires.
Yep, and I think we were talking about them a little bit during the formation lap. Look at who we see. It's Synchro in 7th, End of the World in 6th, and Cruz up in 4th here under the safety car. The 3 drivers who opted to start on the medium tire. So that strategy is actually paying up pretty well for them here with this early-ish safety car. That brought a lot of the soft tire drivers to pit, and they're gaining a lot of track position here, being able to take those medium tires that much longer.
Yeah. And if there's a safety car again, they'll just be able to, as long as, because you know how that field spread in the first 2, 3, 4 laps of a restart, that field spread could end up coming back to help those 3 drivers.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And of course, as we've seen, safety cars do breed safety cars, so they can potentially hope for another one as well, especially on the restart. Lots of cold tires, especially all the drivers in 9th down, all starting on the hard tires. It's hard to keep those in the optimal temperature range ready for the restart, and that could mean chaos going into turn 1 on the restart, on the safety car restart, whenever that may be, as potentially could be the end of this lap, as it looks like everybody has pretty much bunched together other than Nathan, who's quickly catching up to the grid.
It's just it's a bit of a weird spot for the top 3, and then Vex to Vexter, as those mediums, they're going to start to fall off pretty much within the first couple of laps of this restart, so they're kind of put in a bad spot here, because those mediums, as soon as they get up to temperature after the end of the first or second lap, they're going to be all over the back of them, and as they start to go back, the decision to stay out is just going to be questionable at that point.
Yeah, that's. I was just about oh my goodness, to make a comment about that. In terms of AJ, the real DC, and Krishna staying out, and even Vex the Vexer staying out on those soft tires, because they're gonna have to, as you mentioned, they're gonna have to pit sooner rather than later. Already 7 laps old, and probably already to the point of falling off, as we're going through at least one more lap under safety car. But I really do think that's going to end up biting them, as if they have to pit.
Yeah.
Like, if they have to pit basically right on the restart, then that's going to be, you know, they're going to fall down into 20th. And actually, that's the real Chad into the pits as well. Having to get a wing change with, I guess, potentially a collision. And that's Vito, who is also in the pits, putting on a fresh set of medium tires. So potentially the 2 of them getting caught up in incidents of potentially driving too close under the safety car and having to take some damage for it.
Well, it's still early. He's clearly shown that he has the pace. No, there's nothing in the race director. He must have had an incident on his own.
Yeah, must have. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to catch what happened there, but for the 2 of them, down in 17th and 18th, the last of the running drivers, but of course catching up to the grid very quickly, so just gonna be lots of overtaking for them as as the safety car restart comes. Whenever it does come, probably I hope at the end of this lap. Yep, there we go. We see it at the bottom of the screen. Safety car in this lap. So AJ parking up, going to be letting the safety car get a bit of an advance to get the restart done. And here's to hoping we don't see any funny business under safety car. Or under the safety car restart in terms of the restart and drivers mistiming that restart time.
He'll want to wait to an awkward moment to get these guys going.
Oh, yeah.
Where they don't think.
So we're seeing the safety car going into the pits, and is that your own Vasseur starting things off, taking the exit, and it looks like it is for the safety car restart. We're already seeing Cruz and Krishna getting very close to one another, it looks like. Cruz up into third with the medium tires, but Krishna getting very close, looking to make a dive down the outside, but not going to work out for him. And who is that falling down the order here? So we're seeing some battles going side by side in the back of the grid. It's Jordan and Bumblebee, as well as Nathan and Lorenzo, and it looks like that's the real Chad getting involved as well. As Vito still down in 18th, not getting the restart he was hoping for, but the real Chad getting a move on, already up into 16th, overtaking Lorenzo and looking to put the pressure on Nathan, but it's still AJ leading the way. As what happened to Cruz as he's falling down the order?
Not sure. I'm not seeing it. There was a yellow flag in the first Lesmo, but no incidents to be seen.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe going a little bit wide and everybody so close together, just letting a lot of drivers through. As that's Cohen getting by Cruz. As it's still AJ leading the way from the real DC, with Krishna and Vex the Vexer rounding out the top four. So the four staying out on the soft tires are the four leading the way so far, but probably going to have to pit sooner rather than later, as it looks like everyone is staying out for at least one more lap on those tires.
AJ's going. He's got the advantage of having the clean air. So I don't know about. They're gonna have to pit soon. So there's no incidents.
Oh, definitely. As we're looking at your own Vasseur and End of the World, and that's Synchro looking to get involved too. End of the World losing out on 2 spots after battling it out. Your own Vasseur making a nice move, but and Matt's as well, as we've got 3 cars going and battling it through basically. Oh, there's a bit of a lockup, some contact. That's Matt's going way wide.
Oh, you're in Vasseur. I believe that Synchro just locked up and just drove into the back of the AlphaTauri. And race gone back worse.
Yeah, not
penalty. Now it's just back here fighting for scraps.
Yeah, so not unfortunately getting caught up in an incident, and not what he was hoping for. He's gonna have to battle all the way back up the grid. As who was that? That went extremely wide. That's Synchro. Once again, having difficulties all race weekend under Ascari. Thankfully, doesn't end his race. But not what he was hoping for, as we're seeing Cruz overtaking who was that? That's End of the World. That was around the wrong way, out on Parabolica, so losing a little bit of grip on those medium tires, and he falls down the order as well. So it's all gone off for lots of drivers here under safety car, as we see Callis and Jordan battling it out for 7th, going basically side by side around turn 1 and turn 2. What drive by these 2 drivers, and who is that behind them? Is that real Chad and Cohen equally looking to get involved? So we have a nice little 4-car battle as they're coming around Curva Grande going into turn 4 and turn 5. Who's going to get the better of who? As looks like it's still Jordan from Cohen from Chad as they're coming around the Lesmos, but for how long is this going to be the order? As we see the real Chad looking to make a lunge down the inside, gets a little bit of better traction out on the exit of the second Lesmos. They're going to go side by side, but Cohen has the inside line. But it looks like that won't matter, as the real Chad gets the overtake done well before the approach to the Ascari chicane. So up into 9th already is the real Chad, working his way back up from the back of the grid under the after that safety car.
Who's going to come into They're still going over there on those softs, so
Oh my goodness, yeah, they are still going, taking those softs 12 laps it looks like. So still continuing on. That was Cruz going a little bit wide around the exit of Parabolica, losing out in a little bit of traction there and a little bit of pace down the start finish straight. We saw Jordan getting on the approach, Cruz, but actually looking to overtake Callis going down the inside. Takes the outside of turn 1 and turn 2. As we see, they're still side by side, but Cruz gets a little bit of better traction and overtakes Callis to go up into 6th. And is that Jordan looking to make a lunge as well? No, but Callis actually looking to defend his position, but forced to the outside. Got a nice little onboard here with Jordan. Callis looking to gets a nice little move done to make that overtake, but Cruz falling 2 positions as Jordan sees the gap open and gets the overtake done, and that's the real Chad equally. And there looks like there's a little bit of contact. Cruz goes way wide, comes back on track and spins. And that's Cruz falling all the way down as he's struggling to get back on track, falling all the way down into 17th. So now I heard the barge boards hitting. So how much of that is Cruz just losing the car, and how much of that is potentially from contact, potentially from the real Chad as they were going side by side through that second Lesmos? And here we go. The pit stop is finally happening. Vex the Vexer staying out, but that's Mats with the medium tires getting the overtake done. So maybe a bit of a mistake from Vex the Vexer, as we're seeing the other 3 on the soft tires pitting for the mediums. AJ Krishna and the real DC coming out near the back of the order, but with potentially a bit of an advantage in terms of the tire wear compared to everybody else around them, as we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Who is that? Is that Bumblebee on the soft tires, who potentially missed his braking point, coming back on track, continuing on. Doesn't look like there's any damage for him, so potentially just some time lost there through turns 1 and turn 2. And here we go. Yeah, Yaron Visser and Vito dueling it out for P8, as we see. Yaron Visser in 9th, was going side by side, but didn't work out for him. And Vito gets a nice exit out of the second Lesmos, and looks like he's creating a little bit of a gap to Yaron Visser as he's trying to catch up to Laparta. They all have penalties, but Vito only one of the 3 on the medium tires.
real Chad's chasing down Callis now, almost back up into the podium. He's crucially not going to have to pit for the rest of the race too, because those tires...
Yeah, those tires will definitely bring him to the end. And here we go, Vex the Vexer pitting. So real Chad officially back up into the podium for the time being, and closing the gap extremely quickly on Callis. But it looks like Callis will still remain in second, as there's a little bit of a lockup into turn 1. And we'll see the real Chad putting on the pressure already. We'll give a bit of an onboard as he's going to try to overtake Callis around the outside of Curva Grande, as it's going to turn into the inside of turns 4 here, but gets the overtake done and just forces his way into second. So it's a Red Bull 1-2 here around Monza in the Tier 2 championship.
Beautifully done.
Yeah, but on
so back here from Vito back, it's just almost a DRS train.
Yeah, a little bit of a DRS train. Well, as you're mentioning, the gaps are close, but no one able to make a move on one another, as the speed is oh so close. Just hoping for mistakes to happen, as we actually see Laparta potentially getting a bit of a wiggle, and look at the amount of the pace Yaron Visser has, as we even see Cohen overtaking Jordan to go up into 4th, as Cohen just gets a much better traction around Parabolica and looking to close that gap up to Callis to potentially battle for that last podium position. But Jordan, yeah, getting him back with the help of ERS, as we see the drivers get oh so close together, going side by side into turn 1. It's the inside turning into the outside for Jordan, but it looks like there's a little bit of contact there. Vito seeing that door open and going up into 5th now, and is he going to try to make a move around the outside of Curva Grande on Jordan, as they're going to rush into turn 4. And no, it
Caught a
looks like
bit of
it's
grass on
still,
the outside of Curva Grande.
yep, so it's still Jordan in 4th, Vito in 5th. But especially for these high middle positions, it's still anybody's game to play for. As it's we see near the top, Matt's leading the way with just under a 3-second gap to his teammate, the real Chad. And it looks like that gap is growing to Callis, who's currently sitting in 3rd, with a 3-second advantage to Jordan in 4th. But we're still seeing this nice 4-car battle. And here we go. We're seeing Vito. Terrible helicopter shot here. As there we go. Now it gets better. Vito up into 4th. If we can get the trees out of the way. Jordan in 5th. Cohen in 6th. And his teammate behind him in 7th. And is that Laparta closing up very quickly as well, looking to get involved. And still Lorenzo. As far as, but we've seen the AlphaTauris going side by side down the start finish straight. They're kind of approaching Jordan. Who's going to get the... Oh my goodness, what happened there? There's the contact.
Oh, the
so that's... Oh no. Each other. They clipped each other. They're both going... They both went right through the barriers, through it into turn 1. So definitely penalties to come from that, as we caught that. Going very slow is Cohen. We've got a full safety car out for that, as it's all gone off. Here on lap 17th with 10 laps to go, as Cohen's fallen down the order with no wing. What's your own Visser looking? As I'm trying to keep an eye on him, and still looking fine. Jordan in 5th, and so I think, thankfully for Jordan, potentially catching that and not getting affected as much from it. But that's... crazy scenes as we saw the two AlphaTauri drivers coming together, and unfortunately not ending too well for Cohen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think Laparta got by the DRS and then was going by, and then they clipped each other. Either way, someone went down back to the right, caught a bit of grass, spun sideways directly into the side of Jordan, which made Jordan cut the tire corner. Jordan's obviously got a 5-second penalty because the game thinks, and now he's going to obviously serve it here in the pit. So Jordan was just a bystander and just ends up getting screwed. He got screwed there, minding his business, and unfortunately it's going to dampen his race.
Yep, definitely going to dampen his race a little bit as he's going into the pits. Now, but we're seeing actually real Chad and Vito staying out, so pitting a little bit later for those medium tires, working out well for them, as they're currently in P1 and P2 respectively, with 9 laps to go, and looking pretty poised to take those tires to the end of the race. But behind them, we're seeing lots of drivers opting to pit for those soft tires to get that pace advantage for this... for the final few lap sprint that we're going to see on the safety car restart when that comes in potentially a lap or two's time.
Callis is going to be very quick here. Wait for those. Just I'd say in about 5 laps time, the real Chad and Vito will start to feel just a little bit aware. Nothing that would normally dampen your race, but the fact that Callis and Mats as well, sitting on brand new soft tires, easily able to go the 9 laps to the end of the race. So they're gonna be fighting for podiums here.
Definitely, and they're gonna get especially with the likes of the real DC, Krishna, and AJ on 3-lap old medium tires. So their strategy is still working well. But for all these medium tire runners, it's going to be that much harder to get the temperature in for the safety car restart compared to those fresh set of soft tires that they all have behind them. So we might see a pace advantage from the likes of Callis and Mats even just right off the start in terms of overtaking the real DC, Krishna, and AJ. But we're going around for at least one more lap as we're waiting for the last few drivers to catch up to the grid.
Run through the penalties for you real quick if you want.
Yeah, of course.
Well, Vito's sitting with 3 seconds. We got Krishna with 8-second time penalty, so it's gonna really hurt him at the end of the race. Callis with 3, so he's gonna have to get on with it wherever he makes it up to, as we predicted. Laporte with 6, Lorenzo 3, Bumblebee 3, Sinker with 3 as well. Jordan Visser with 3, so obviously that 5-second time penalty he got with Chris earlier on, or sorry, the real Chad rather. After that, the pit, Vex with 6, Cohen with 6 as well. Jordan with 3, obviously serving that 5-second time penalty, got for cutting the corner. And Cruz with 9 seconds. So these are going to play a huge role towards the end as well. So.
Oh, they definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah, especially if you're able to keep a clean race, the likes that we saw, that we're seeing Chad, AJ, the real DC, Mats, End of the World, and Nathan, in terms of not having any penalties, they might benefit from being able to jump a few drivers, just in terms of the time penalties added at the end of the race once you cross the line. And of course, with the safety car restart, the grid is bunched up for the last nearly basically 7 laps of the race. So not too much time to gain to gain that massive advantage, as much as if we were just continuing on like nothing happened. As the safety car is coming in this lap, so the real Chad becomes the new safety car, leading the way for the restart. So here we go, starting on lap 20. Who's going to be taking the win? Who's going to be leading the way as they're going to barrel into turn 1? As we're seeing everybody warming up their tires, getting that heat optimized for the restart. And is that the real Chad starting a little bit early? Maybe not warming up. It almost looked like it. Maybe it was the camera angle. Still warming up his tires, going extremely late. Now he's going, it looks like, as we're very close. And look at AJ. This is going to be very interesting going into turn 1. AJ looking to make a move. The Racing Point going side by side. Who's going to take who? As it looks like AJ goes around the outside of Vito. Vito falling down the order. There's contact. That's Vito spun. That's Callis spun. Big scenes here as we're seeing. Oh my goodness, who's that in the corner? That's the Alpha. That's the real DC, and Laparta getting involved as well. Jeroen Visser equally getting involved. Callis getting involved. What scenes on the safety car restart. As we're continuing on, is still the real Chad leading the way with AJ in second. Mats overtaking Krishna to go into third. But that was crazy going into turn 1, and Stunek, you called it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had to agree with you on that too. Like, that was really dicey. Oh no, Lorenzo had some wing damage, trying his best to bring it around the track. Gets into a bit of contact with, I think that was Jordan, which takes off whatever he had left of the wing. End of the, look at this, with Cohen, Cruz, and End of the World. Cohen down into 10th, End of the Cruz in 9th, End in 8th. And it looks like that's the way it's going to remain, as we're seeing Cohen going into the pits. Cruz and End of the World continue on.
Oh, he gets speeding. Good measure.
Yep, just added troubles for him, as not slowing down in time for the pit lane. So not what he was hoping for, and a good way to watch the race go from bad to worse.
Yeah, and the race has completely changed for a lot of these drivers we thought would be fighting, like at the end here. Like I mentioned, Callis, Jeroen Visser, both getting heavy damage pitting, but it worked out well for Mats. He's moving up nicely. He's just got to hunt down AJ Wu on here to try and take second.
Yep, and
the real Chad.
Oh yeah, and I'm even I've got Synchro here in that Haas car up into 5th, and looking to put the pressure on Krishna for 4th here on lap 21. Only 3/10 behind, so very close, and looking to use those soft tires to his advantage compared to Krishna, who's on the 6-lap-old medium tires. So potentially similar in pace. But even now, we've got Nathan closing the gap as well, equally on the soft tires, looking to get his shot at that P4. But it looks like as Matt sets the fastest lap on the soft tires in 3rd, closing up on AJ. But we're watching Nathan going down the inside of Synchro as they're barreling into turn 1. They're side by side, and it looks like Nathan just gets the overtake done through to turn 2 and goes up into 5th. So that's Synchro down in 6th, Nathan in 5th, with Krishna still in 4th for the time being. But now it's Nathan's turn to try his shot at the overtake, as he's looking to get just a little bit closer to make that happen. But we're even seeing for the podium paying positions for between P2 and P3, Mats putting lots of pressure on AJ, who's AJ still in second, but on those medium tires. And look at the pace Mats has with ERS, I believe, as very easily gets the overtake done. So we're back to a Red Bull 1-2 after
He's to hunt down his teammate.
Yeah, seeing that, the real chat potentially feeling the wear of those medium tires, taking them 12 laps, and that's Nathan on the entrance to Parabolica, or barreling down to the entrance to Parabolica, overtakes Krishna to go up into 4th. So now with those soft tires, has a little bit of clean air, it seems, to try to close that gap up to AJ, and maybe challenge for that last podium position. As we're seeing the two Renaults battling a little bit further down the order. That's End of the World and Bumblebee. And End of the World going up into 7th, overtaking his teammate. But I don't think his teammate's going to put too much of a battle, not looking to take them both out of the race. But that's a little bit of a position swap for the Renault team, as they're poised to get some pretty decent points here.
Yeah, Mats is pulling right up along the backside of Real Chat.
Oh, and Synchro gets very close to Krishna. Maybe a little bit of a bump there, Tap. Nothing crazy, as doesn't look like any of the drivers got overly affected by that. But it's still Krishna in 5th, Synchro in 6th. But Synchro, looks like it's only a matter of time before he gets the move done, as now he doesn't have to cope with the likes of Nathan behind him as well, so can focus most of his attention to the driver in front of him. But look at the pace Krishna has on that straight coming into Ascari. So we'll see if Synchro can get the better exit. It doesn't looks like they got about the same exit. It doesn't look like the gap is closing all that much, but Parabolica is where all the time is made and lost. But actually, you were talking about
tremendous pace on those mediums.
Yeah, he really is with those 8-lap-old mediums. I've seen Cruz overtaking Bumblebee now with those soft tires, but they're still battling it out side by side, barreling down into towards turn 1 down the start finish straight. It's still Bumblebee leading the way, but they've got about similar pace here. Who's going to get the better of who as they barrel down into turn 1? It looks like Cruz is inside to the outside. Might work, might not work. I think they're still side by side here, as they're going through Curva Grande. No, Cruz, it looks like he is able to just get the overtake done, as Bumblebee actually looking to put the pressure back now, looking to go down the inside of turn 4, but it looks like Cruz with those soft tires just able to get the better traction and keep that 8th spot as he's working his way up the order and splits the two Renault drivers. And it looks like Synchro does finally get past Krishna while I was watching the other battle, so Synchro's up into 5th, Krishna in 6th. Let's take a look. We saw Laparta just overtook, Callis just overtook Laparta, but actually Laparta getting a little bit of a better exit out of turn 2, and that's Krishna out at Ascari, and that's going to bring out another safety car on lap 24.
Oh, Mats has got to be gutted, because now that 3-second penalty, because honestly, what could have happened in this situation for these two Red Bull drivers is...
And no, Lorenzo gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, so not what we were hoping to see here early on, as the leaders are starting lap 25 out of 27. We're going to be under safety car, and it's going to be quite literally a 2-lap sprint.
Yeah, so what the Red Bulls could have done is, Real Chad, knowing that Matt's on the softer tire and has the pace, you just let Mats by, because you know that he has a penalty in 3 seconds, so you just kind of stick and you guys pull away from AJ Wuhan, and now with the safety car, that whole strategy is moot. It's a moot point, so it's going to be crucial for Mats here at the end.
Oh yeah, and all of a sudden it brings the likes of Vito, Euron Visser, Callis, all these drivers that got caught up in that last safety car restart incident. It brings them back into play here if they can catch up in time to the safety car grid. And it looks like they are trying to catch up as quick as they can. But still, looking at the gap, Cohen has about at least 25 seconds to close up before having any chance of battling it with the top 10.
Yeah, you gotta think the safety car might actually just come in right now. We don't know, but I hope they keep...
Yep, and it is.
I just hope the drivers show some patience here on the restart. There's 2 laps left.
Yep. So as we're gonna see some racing once again here, starting lap 26. So it's gonna be a 2-lap sprint to the end. Will the real Chad be able to keep his lead and secure the win, or will Mats get the overtake done and grow enough of a gap to the real Chad and everybody else behind him to take that win? As Lorenzo gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings under the safety car here under the restart. But here we go. The real Chad leading the way. Is he getting that? Is he restarting now? It looks like he is getting that early restart. Matt's caught napping a little bit as we're seeing AJ very close. 2/10 behind and going to be looking to potentially make a move down into the entry of turn 1. But now it looks like everybody's closing up to one another as it's still the real Chad leading the way. Matt's in second. Cruz overtaking End of the World here as, End of the World goes a little bit wide. Cruz up into 6th, and that's Cohen. Unfortunately, not having the restart he was hoping for, as he's now out of the session.
Started that. Bumblebee got into the back. Enda sent him wide. Everybody, Constantina effect, and Cohen pays the price on that.
Yep, and we've got a little bit of a battle here going out in the back of a little bit further down between Bumblebee with Jordan going down the inside. I'm seeing Callis falling down the order here, but it's still the real Chad leading the way with a 7/10 gap to Mats, and AJ just gets his first time penalty. It takes 3 seconds. So that might hinder him here on this penultimate lap, so takes a penalty with a lap and a little bit to go.
Yeah, Nathan now looking at a P2 at this point.
Yeah, so Nathan driving clean is paying off, and there's contact, as I think that's Lorenzo that knocks into Callis a little bit. Thankfully, Callis not affected. It's just Lorenzo that spun around a little bit. As Lorenzo not having the race he was hoping for, as he takes a speeding in the pit lane penalty for good measure, and potentially we might see the end of his race. And actually, who was that? That's your own Visser going off in turn 1. So the struggles continue for him here around Monza, as goes way wide into the grass of turn 1, but comes back on track, but still in P13. Leparc Bumblebee putting pressure on Jordan here for in the battle for 8th, and we're actually seeing Matt starting to close up a little bit on the real Chad, with the gap to about 6/10 now. So we'll see if we can see some battle here on the final lap of the race, but I think it might potentially be too little too late unless Mats gets a crazy exit here, but might not be willing to risk it with his teammate in terms of just trying to secure the Red Bull 1-2.
Oh no, it's gonna be Nathan's gonna be with the penalties. Nathan's gonna end up finishing second here.
Yeah, we might see that as he's very close to AJ as they're coming around Parabolica. What happened there?
Lost it. Power early at Parabolica.
Oh my goodness! But here we go. There we go. There you have it. The real Chad taking the win here, with Nathan coming in second after the penalties. Mats rounding out the top 3, and unfortunately for AJ, he's off of the podium, coming so close in 4th. So that 3-second time penalty definitely affecting his outcome of the race. So very unfortunate for him. And Synchro, nice drive by the Haas driver, rounding out the top 5, with Jordan in 6th, Callis in 7th, End of the World in 8th, Bumblebee in 9th, and Leparc coming in P10, with the 2 Mercedes drivers behind of Vexer and Cruz. Your own Visser, Vito, and Lorenzo coming 13th, 14th, and 15th respectively. So not the race they were hoping for. But crazy scenes here at Monza, where we had not 1, not 2, but 3 different safety cars, including one right at the end that really shook things up for the end of the race, I feel.
Yeah, what an exciting finish we had.
Yeah, very exciting, very intense finish, with the grid being bunched up as we see the podium there with the 2 Red Bull drivers. So definitely a good race if you're in the Red Bull garage or cheering for the Red Bull team. And even a solid race for the McLaren of Nathan coming in second, keeping it clean, and it's definitely coming to his advantage as gets second and brings in a nice haul of points.
Absolutely, trying to get the guys in here for the podium.
Perfect. So there we have it. That is the race here. That is the Italian Grand Prix for Tier 2 in Season 3, as we can see the order. Now, something to note, the Ferrari drivers coming in 14th and 15th. Thankfully for them, one of the Alfa Romeo drivers, the real DC, not finishing the race, not getting any points. But of course, we have Jordan coming in 6th, so that's a decent haul of points for him. And in terms of the battle for the Constructors' Championship, that's still anyone's to play for. Going into this race, Ferrari was leading 414 to 407, but based on the finish of the Italian Grand Prix, that one too might change. Depending on the outcome of the points, given the not so great showing that the Ferrari team that we're not really used to seeing in the Tier 2 Championship, at least.
Yep, got chat. Sorry, it's with the new party system. It's real hard to do.
Oh yeah.
All right. Cannot add one or more players. Oh, okay. So. All right.
Yeah, a little bit of, I guess, technical issues in terms of getting the post-race interviews sorted out. As I'm gonna jump into the showroom, show off that winning car, that winning Red Bull. Not the definitely not the first time we've seen the Red Bull here in the showroom as the winning car, but it was a fantastic race no less. And being a Red Bull fan myself, I don't mind showing it off either.
Absolutely. Irish New Potato not being here. Pretty much same results.
Yep. Yep, definitely channeled that Red Bull. Definitely channeled the Red Bull car and drove it to what the team was hoping for this week. And that was a solid first showing from the real Chad, I do have to say. Definitely showing he's got pace in Tier 2.
I got Max and Nathan when I tried to add the real, real Chad, not the real. The real is real. The real.
Yeah.
DC. Oh, I knew it was gonna happen. Oh, I've added them, so we're just waiting on them.
Alrighty.
Well, it certainly played out like we thought it would. Just, you just gotta feel bad for some of the front runners there. People who involved in incidents that just weren't even their own fault. Real DC, unfortunately, that last bit of safety car was just minding his business. Just collected. Jordan as well. Just those turn one incidents. So.
Yep, as Nathan just joined in for the post-race interview. Nathan, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, I can.
Perfect. So P2, congratulations. That was an extremely clean race, I do have to say, from you. Not taking any penalties and one of the few drivers. So take us through. How do you feel about that race around Monza?
It feels like a win, to be honest.
Oh, does it?
Back to 18th, lap 1. And I was behind. I was like basically last for the entire of the race until the end safety car, the last two safety cars. And just, I guess, having no penalties.
Yeah,
a couple of positions.
Oh yeah, those I guess those safety cars definitely worked out pretty well for you. But I do have to ask, did you have to modify the strategy mid-race when you're talking going down into 18th, or did you just stick to the strategy you had at the start of the race and it worked out for you?
Definitely not. I think I paid for. I'm trying to think. Soft, hard, medium, hard, soft. That's my strategy in this race.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I went through all the tires.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can definitely understand how that feels like a win for you. With what was that? 5 pit stops? Did I count?
Yeah, 4 or 5. I can't
4 or
remember.
5. Oh my goodness. Stunek, anything to add to that?
It's just it was a hectic race. You kind of, it's races like these. It's essential just to keep the nose clean, head down, keep pushing. Because as you said, 18th to standing on the middle step of the podium, that is a win. And as drivers, we all get that feeling. So huge congrats on that. You nailed it somehow in the end. You brought it home. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yep. Oh yeah, congratulations. But I'll take it. We're probably not going to have anybody else joining for the post-race interviews, I don't think.
Not for lack of trying.
No, it doesn't seem like it. So I guess we'll call it. This brings us to the end of the stream here for the Italian Grand Prix, round 16 out of 18. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. But make sure to tune in about 40 minutes time or so for the main event, ISRL Tier 1's take around the Italian Grand Prix. And if it's anything like we saw here, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be extremely exciting. And of course, we'll be back here again, same time, same place next Sunday. But until... No, not next Sunday. Sunday afterwards.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, all right.
Break.
Yep, Thanksgiving break next week. So you'll see us in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for the correction on that. As we'll be back again out on the track, business as usual. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of Asunic, I've been Fallen Monkeys. Thank you so much and have a fantastic rest of your day.